Yo, what is up guys? In this video, I'm going to take a look at a game from a player who placed top 400 in the recent Solo Cash Cup and break down his game step by step and show you the steps he took to be successful so you guys can replicate this and make solo finals yourselves. If you do find this video helpful, please do drop a like and subscribe for much more content just like this. Now let's get straight into reviewing the game. Okay, so jumping straight in, the player we're looking at is called Genos3A1. Now two things I want to note is firstly that he lands very at this north little island complex, this little building complex at the north of Flooded Flogs and Magic Mosses, and here he is uncontested with just one player to his left and one player at this little house split to his right. The next thing I want to pick up on is that he's on 227 points. This is quite a high elo lobby in which he performs in this game, and that's why I've decided to try and show you guys how he gets on. So let's take you step through step everything he does. Now the first thing I want to note is that when looking at his off spawn, he utilizes all the slurp barrels which are around his drop. Now there are about 7 or 8 slurp barrels here which allows him to just stack up on shield. As you guys can see, he uses his slurp barrels. He already has 50 shield, therefore he's saved the minis, so now he has a stack of minis, and it just allows him to get pretty stacked on heals. Also, what's good about this drop, as you guys will see as he rotates around it, is that obviously he continues getting the slurp barrels that gives him metal, but also he rotates out back to these boats, each of which also give him metal. As you can see, yes, individually they don't give him that much, but already he has 200 metal off of spawn, and by the time he's farmed up and left the entire POI, he has around 300 metal, which is a really good starting point from this game. The loot here is not insane, but it certainly has enough loot if you are uncontested, and you can see that there's fast farming trees around as well as ample stone surrounding in the area that is also fast farming. If we look, he's only been in the game a few minutes, 3 minutes to be exact. We're still on the first zone. Bear in mind he landed quite late, and look at his mats and loot already. He already has the bat and he's already chilling to go and get into a good mid game. Now nothing super notable happens within the next 3 to 4 minutes. He simply rotates into Flooded Flogs where there is another player, and he pretty much just avoids him, running around the entire POI, making sure to not get into direct contact with this player and just trying to gather any loot that he can. After this, he then proceeds to rotate out of the POI where we can see him pick up some extra chug splashes and look to sit in a bush. And this is where his entire game plan and strategy starts to begin, because he utilizes this bush throughout his entire game. Now, as I said earlier, from the body, he obviously has loads of excess mats, and we can see him just build a massive structure here, particularly in metal. And this is just because he can drop right down, and now he gets back up to cap metal, and he's got a lot of space to play with. Now, in hindsight, this was a great idea, because if he pulled next zone, he's absolutely chilling. However, if we let the zone play out, we can see that he doesn't pull. So effectively, this entire metal base that he just made was effectively a waste of time. But what I want to pick up on right here is that as he doesn't pull the zone, he obviously isn't on congested side, which is down here. But in this game, there isn't that much of a congested side. It's actually more over here. But what he does is he immediately pulls the bat and just looks to rotate straight into zone. We can see he's scanning around for his surroundings. But what does he end up doing when he ends up getting in zone? Well, similar to what we've already seen him do in this game, he just sits in a bush and sits low key. Again, he's farming up placement this entire time. He's in a good spot in zone. There's no point in getting into a fight right here, especially not when he's stacked. Now, he sits in this bush for about 2 to 3 minutes, but then when the 6th zone appears, it's clear that he's not in zone. But what he does right here is really smart and just something that I think you guys can learn a lot from. If we look at Lapis Sam right here, he rotates right in front of Genos' bush right here, and Genos could easily look to beam him. But if he beams him, Lapis is then going to have to stop, pausing his rotate, and then meaning that Genos has to get past him on his own rotate if he is to get into zone. If Lapis stops right here, Genos then has to get past him. Omar might look for shooting, Peasant might look for shooting, and it could all end up in a fight. So just by letting him go through right here and not taking those shots and having that sort of trigger control, he can then follow his exact rotation. Now, Peace here does the same exact thing of just letting Genos go. Clearly, it's two smart players right here, because if either of them shot at each other, we would end up seeing that it would have slowed down the rotation. But by neither of them shooting at each other and just allowing each other the free rotate, Genos is now comfortably in zone again, based up in a nice area. He hasn't just based up on the edge of zone right here, because that could lead to him getting congested with 1, 2, 3, 4 players. He's gone a little bit deeper into zone just so he can look back at other players rotating in. A really nice place to box. Another quick thing just to pick up on, again, Genos doesn't pull zone. There's lots of players around him, so instead of waiting, he simply scouts out his rotate, which is what he's doing through his cone right now. We obviously can't see it because he's in replay. And then once he realizes it's clear to go, he just pulls out the bat and goes for a free rotate. And throughout this whole rotate, again, he makes sure to hold his shotgun out ready in the bush. Notice how he's not looking to shoot the player in front of him. He's not looking to shoot any player around him. He's just focusing on his own rotate and trying to get into zone. And he elevates himself a nice little layer and builds a double box so he's got a bit of space to work with. Again, Janos pulls a max pull zone. You guys can't just say that he got lucky with zone. He's located here on the backside of zone, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players in front of him, sort of in like a queue system in order to get into zone. So I'm going to live watch and just see how he rotates this. Immediately looks to go very, very quickly and blocks off his back to make sure that no one tags him. Pulls out the bat and is just looking to sort of stagger. So what he's done is he's done the first part of the rotate, and now he's got in front of 2 players. We've seen him move from here, and he's moved forward, and now he's skipped out Jason, Omar, and Dennis. And he's just trying to move forward before the zone starts coming in. Sometimes this is a really smart play to do. If you pull a max zone even before the storm starts closing in, look to make up ground, and that's what he's done here. So now the actual rotation is shorter. Now again, we can see him scouting through his cone, and it looks like he's going to wait until the storm is nearly on his back. Puts down a bit of pressure onto Jason right there. I don't mind that. Like I said, I'm just live talking over this. Pops the gold splash, pulls out the bat, does get shot in the back, chooses not to stop, which is interesting. I guess he didn't get cracked, and then once he gets in, he simply double boxes again. We've seen him do this a couple times now, and make sure that he heals himself up decently. Now for the rest of this game, I'm going to live coach the entire thing and talk you guys through everything that he does. Okay, so I'm taking this for the last 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and we're going to watch his entire rotation for the 9th zone until he ends up getting a 5 kill win in this game. Let's see how he does it. Right, so he pops the gold splash and looks to rotate at the top. Again, going to combine the gold splash with the bat. That's pretty common this season. Looks like he's going to rotate deep into the front side of the zone. He's still got quite a lot of hard mats left, specifically metal, so I don't think he's going to look for a refresh just yet. And that's why we can see right here, he's not really looking for anything. He'll open up on this because there was the player in that box. Doesn't get too aggressive onto it though, which is a good sign. Spots the open loot. Nice. Picks back up cap metal for that and straight back into his old builds. Nice and slow here. He doesn't need to go for anything, especially not when he's got cap metal now, so that's why we see him playing quite defensive. Scouting out through the cone again, I like a bit of this. Looks like we're probably going to pop a gold splash. I assume we chose not to in that situation, but replay lagged, unfortunately. Just holding out the bat. Boxing in metal again. No need to go 2 boxes anymore because we're getting deeper into the end game and we don't want to waste mats. Nice and chilling right here. Scouting out the cone, seeing what we can see. I'd like to see him not open on that guy, which he doesn't. Nice, because you don't want to try and get distracted on a kill, especially not when you've still got 600 mats like he does. He knows there's a player in here because obviously he saw him earlier, so he's just cautious of that. He might wait for this player to go, as he does. We saw him do that earlier. Elects to go down a layer for the rotation. I don't mind this, but there will be people scrapping on low ground, so he's getting a bit lucky here that no one's jumping in on him, needing a refresh. Elevates himself now, which was the correct play. Again, this guy does have 200 earned and 4,000 PR, so he is a very solid player that we're looking at in today's video. Also, if you guys would like to see me do these videos, but with 2 games instead of 1, please do leave a comment down below letting me know your guys' thoughts, because I can certainly do that. Looks like he plays frontside low a lot. I don't mind this from Genos, not when he has this much mat. My only worry is that people might try and jump in on him, but I guess because he's in metal, he's not super worried about that. Looks like he's just going to sit behind a right-hand peak there. Catches this player. He doesn't seem to be very aware of the player that he's jumping in on. I could tell you that for free. Nice. Picks up the refresh. He worked out there that Azadov man wasn't very aware and got a free refresh off that. And now he's back up to 80 builds. Doesn't need to jump in on anything here. I really would like to see himself get up off of low ground though, but it seems like he just likes playing frontside low. I don't mind that. If he knows what he's doing, it's fine. He's going to control it with a lot of hard mats. Like I've said though, my worry is that someone in low ground, like these players in the backside of the zone, just catches him off guard. Obviously, we know it doesn't happen, but if you guys are going to try and play low ground like Genos does here, just be aware of people trying to jump in on you at all times. And that's why we're seeing him elevate here now. That's the smart decision. Looks like he's looking at Plock spot up on height. He's trying to chop out height. I don't know if he ends up getting it. This is my first time watching it with you guys. Unfortunately, replay's going to bug out. So he chops height. I'm interested to see whether he chooses to go up for it. He could use gold splashes to tank. Doesn't look like he chooses to go for it. Drops down to front side again. This time a player does try to jump in on him. 8 left. He picks up 3 of the remaining 5 kills here. Some nice metal tarping, but now we're out of hard mats. We're lucky that no one else is really shambles low ground this entire endgame. He's been pretty fortunate with that. Nice tarping right there. Really nice tarping. Looks to try and get a refresh. That's great awareness. Gets the crack, but notice how he didn't overcommit to that refresh right there because he's still got 9 builds. He doesn't have to go for it. Nice. Farming the tree. Really smart. This player's got the right-hand peak on him, so he plays a smart angle. He's committing quite hard for that, but drops back into zone. Nice. Good play. I'm glad he didn't overcommit. Playing a nice angle. Needs to block us his back. Only 4 builds to go now. At this point, he only needs to try and clutch out a few more placement points to Qual, and that's why we're seeing him play very, very defensive and strategic. Obviously, 278. Qual is normally about 295. Looks to chop out the wood again. Good awareness this whole time, looking for refreshes. He must get all 3 of the remaining kills here, so with one build, it's interesting to see. But he is 100-100. So he drops back in zone, picks off 1 quite easily. He's going to tank Storm here. They're just going to run in towards him. Misses the shotgun shot, but it's fine. He's got no HP, and he picks up the free win, I'd imagine, because the other player is probably stuck. This is a rare game that goes to a heal-off. You don't get that very much this season, but with the chug splashes and the blob, he should be fine to pick up the easy win. Yeah, he's just going to hold off this player. He's going to sit in Storm. Doesn't need to take the fight here. Just hold him out. He knows he's got the HP advantage, and that gets him to 297 points, qualifying through to the finals. So congratulations to Genos for the smart game and the Qual. If you guys would like to see me review more than one game, just drop that down in the comments down below and I can do that in these solo Cash Cup videos. Thank you for watching, subscribe for the next one. Peace out from me.